Everything you've heard about your nervous system might be based on a theory scientists are actively fighting over. And the version being sold to you in wellness videos, vagus nerve hacks, cold plunges, breathing patterns, is built on a model that a growing number of researchers now say doesn't hold up. You know the moment. You're about to send the email. Or make the call. Or walk into the room. And something in you, not your thoughts, something lower than thoughts, pulls the brakes. You don't decide to hesitate. You just stop. And by the time your mind catches up and asks, why did I do that, the moment's already gone. You call it anxiety. Or laziness. Or just not ready. But you were never given the real name for what just happened. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden system inside you that's making these decisions before you're even conscious of them, and how people who seem naturally calm under pressure have actually just learned to work with this system instead of against it. This isn't motivation. This is the actual mechanism. Here's the myth, that your nervous system has two settings. Calm and panic. Rest and fight or flight. Fix the panic, and you fix the person. That model is everywhere, in apps, in therapy language, in every regulate your nervous system video you've scrolled past. It's called Polyvagal theory, and it's treated as settled science. It isn't. In 2026, a paper co-authored by 38 scientists who study the autonomic nervous system argued that the core claims of polyvagal theory, the tidy, three universal states model so many coaches present as fact, don't hold up under scrutiny. The safe/fight-or-flight/shutdown map you've been taught isn't consensus. It's a hypothesis still being argued over in journals right now. So if the map is wrong, what's actually happening in you every time you freeze at the door? Whatever the exact model turns out to be, researchers agree on one underlying fact: your body is running a constant, automatic scan for threat and safety cues, a process scientists call neuroception. And here's the part almost nobody explains correctly: neuroception isn't a feeling. It happens below conscious awareness. Your nervous system detects a cue, a tone of voice, a posture, a flicker in someone's face, and shifts your physiological state before you're consciously aware anything happened. You don't feel threatened and then react. Your body reacts, and then manufactures the feeling to explain it to you afterward. That email you didn't send. Your radar picked up something, rejection risk, social exposure, a memory pattern, and pulled the brake before your conscious mind was even in the room. But here's where it gets stranger. If this scan is happening below awareness, shouldn't the people who are most in tune with their bodies be the calmest people alive? The opposite turns out to be true. Researchers measure something called interoceptive accuracy, basically, how well someone can sense internal signals like their own heartbeat. And the data flips the usual story. People with higher interoceptive accuracy, the ones best at sensing their own body, actually experience more intense emotional arousal in daily life, not less. The most finely tuned nervous systems aren't the calmest. They're the ones feeling everything at higher resolution. Which means the person who seems to be handling it fine might just have a duller signal. And the person who feels everything, who you assumed was the anxious one, might have the more accurate system in the room. Here's where it gets useful. In a study of over 1,400 children, the ones with higher interoceptive accuracy made better decisions on a classic gambling task, and were better at delaying gratification for a reward. Being tuned into your body isn't just a feeling. It's a measurable decision-making advantage. But there's a catch nobody mentions. That same body awareness can also work against you, depending on the decision. Some research shows interoceptive accuracy improves decisions made under uncertainty, but other studies show it can help or hurt performance, depending on what your body's anticipatory signal is actually tied to. In other words, listen to your gut isn't universal advice. Sometimes your gut is reading the room correctly. Sometimes it's reacting to an old pattern that has nothing to do with what's in front of you, and you can't always tell which one is happening in real time. Here's the part that makes this trackable instead of mystical. There's an actual physical fingerprint for how flexible your nervous system is. It's called heart rate variability, or HRV. Higher HRV is linked to a system that can shift states more fluidly. It's not vague. It's a number you can literally watch on a chest strap. And here's what almost every piece of nervous system content leaves out entirely: it's not just fight or flight. There's a third state, shutdown. A separate pathway that produces freeze, numbness, collapse. Most people never recognize this in themselves because they're only looking for panic. But your sabotage probably doesn't look like panic. It looks like scrolling instead of starting. Rewatching an episode instead of opening the document. Going quiet in a meeting instead of speaking up. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system pathway most content doesn't even name. Here's one more layer most people never hear. People with higher interoceptive accuracy make rule-based, moral decisions faster, but feel far more internal conflict, specifically when a decision requires trading one value off against another. Translate that into your life. You're not slow because you're indecisive. You're slow on the decisions that force a values trade-off, because your body is registering the conflict before your mind can name it. And here's the strangest data point in this entire field. The same internal accuracy that predicts your emotional intensity and your decision-making also correlates with something completely unrelated on the surface: your precision at judging time in the millisecond range. The signal that governs your stress response may be the same signal that governs your sense of timing. Your body isn't running separate systems for emotional and practical. It's running one clock. So picture this pattern repeating. Not once. Every day, for years, without you ever learning its name. After 1 year, it just looks like a habit: you hesitate, you scroll, you delay the hard conversation. It's forgettable. After 5 years, it's not a habit anymore. It's a reputation. The reliable one who never quite pushes for the promotion. The friend who always almost starts the business. The someday person. After 10 years, it stops being something you do. It becomes something you are. Not, I hesitate sometimes. I'm not the kind of person who goes for things. The radar didn't just cost you a moment. Left unnamed, it wrote your identity for you. Imagine a radar dish inside you, sweeping constantly, scanning every room, every conversation, every inbox, for cues of safety or threat, completely outside your awareness. When it detects danger, real or remembered, it doesn't ask permission. It just switches your state, guarded, or shut down. 3 things to remember about your radar. 1. It's faster than you. By the time you decide to hesitate, the radar already switched your state 30 seconds ago. You're not choosing. You're explaining, after the fact. 2. It's not always accurate. It's running on old data, old rooms, old rejections, old versions of you, and applying that data to a present moment that may not deserve it. 3. It can be recalibrated. A radar that's been trained on outdated threats can be retrained on current evidence. That's the whole game. Here are 5 ways to actually retrain the radar. 1. Name the state, not the story. What? When you notice hesitation, label it guard or shutdown instead of a story like I'm lazy. Why? Naming the state pulls it partly into conscious awareness, where you have some influence. How? Say internally, this is guard mode, before you say anything else about yourself. Common mistake: skipping straight to self-criticism instead of naming the state first. Expected result: the freeze loosens within seconds, not because it's gone, but because you're no longer fused with it. 2. Track your HRV for 1 week. What? Use any consumer wearable to log resting heart rate variability daily. Why? It's the one objective marker of how flexible your nervous system currently is. How? Check it each morning before checking your phone for anything else. Common mistake: treating one bad day as a personal failure instead of data. Expected result: you start noticing which situations shift your number. This is your radar's actual triggers, in numbers. 3. Give your radar new evidence on purpose. What? Deliberately walk into one low-stakes version of the thing you avoid. Why? The radar updates on lived experience, not on logic or willpower. How? Send the small email. Speak the short version in the meeting. Let the radar log a safe outcome. Common mistake, jumping straight to the highest stakes version and reinforcing the old alarm. Expected result, repeated small proof gradually recalibrates what the radar flags as dangerous. 4. Separate the trade-off decisions from the simple ones. What? When you're stuck, ask if this is a values trade-off, not just a hard choice. Why? You now know trade-offs specifically spike internal conflict. It's not indecision, it's a known pattern. How? Say the competing values out loud before deciding. Common mistake, assuming you're broken for freezing here, instead of recognizing the mechanism. Expected result, the decision doesn't get easier, but the self-judgment disappears, which is often what was actually stalling you. 5. Stop treating shutdown like laziness. What? When you notice numbness or avoidance, treat it as a nervous system state, not a character flaw. Why? Shutdown is a separate physiological pathway from panic. It needs rest and safety cues, not pressure. How? Do one small grounding action, stand up, change rooms, get sunlight, before trying to push through. Common mistake, adding pressure or shame on top of a shutdown state, which deepens it. Expected result, the state passes faster when met with safety instead of force. So no, this isn't about trying harder to push past the freeze. The people who move through their lives without constantly fighting themselves aren't the ones with more willpower. They're the ones who stopped treating their own nervous system as the enemy, and started treating it as an instrument that can be retuned. They didn't defeat the radar. They learned to read it. Your hesitation was never a character flaw. It was a radar, running on outdated information, and now you know its name.